Well, welcome to another episode of Why on Earth. We're doing our interview series here, which has been incredible in this time to really stay focused and moving towards a path and a goal. And so we have an incredible guest on today, a good friend and an inspiration, Aspen Kennedy. Thank you for coming on, bro. We're excited to talk to you.
Man. Me too.
Well, Aspen, our guests don't know who you are. Marquise doesn't know who you are, what you do, your story. Can you give us just like a quick glimpse of like who you are and your story, your history?
Yeah. Like Liam said, my name is Aspen Kennedy. I'm a film and television actor here in Atlanta. Aside from that, as a person, I find myself to be very connected. I love people. I love connecting with people. I love learning new things, challenging myself to become better. I grew up in Memphis, Tennessee. I've been in Atlanta for 3 years now. Graduated Jackson State University, mass communications, marketing degree. But when I found my passion again, it was like this is what I needed to do, and it's been working out for me. But aside from that, like I talk to you all the time, Liam, like nothing has happened for me without me exemplifying some level of faith. So it's like, it's meant to be. Sometimes people can search for purpose, but it's like when the things I desire line up with the things that I guess like come to me, I feel like, okay, this is meant to be because I don't have to try too hard. I just have to put my effort in. And that's when things flow. So
yeah. Did you always know that you wanted to be an entertainer?
I didn't always know. As a kid, I did a few commercials, like a Kellogg's commercial, little kid children's museums things. So my mom always took me to like casting calls, like modeling. It was more of like print photography then, but when I was in college, I worked at the Apple store. And so I believe this was the second semester of my sophomore year. So I had to get my schedule for this following spring. So the girl was like, "Hey, Aspen, we really didn't know each other that well." And I feel like this was a divine moment too, because she was like, "Hey, Aspen, do you have your schedule for next semester?" I was like, "Not yet. I need one more class, art elective." I didn't want to take music appreciation because I'm like, I like music, but I don't want to study it to the point where, that was just not my thing. But she was like, "You really should take this class called Fundamentals of Acting." So I was like, "Oh, nice. Like, that'll be fun." So when I took it, it was the first class that I felt like I didn't have to do too much. Like, it was a class where I felt like, oh, this is what college is about. I'm learning something that's helping me, move me forward in terms of something I want to do versus just like, don't get me wrong, history and, literature, that's fine. But that was the first class that really pulled more out of me to say like, oh, like I really enjoy this. So if it wasn't for that girl telling me to take that class, and then my professor, who was the teacher of the class, was a working actor. And he was like, "Man, this is something you want to do, like stick with it." And then from now, when I graduated, we ended up on the same, two different episodes, but the same season of Queen Sugar on Oprah Winfrey Network. He was like, "How did you were my student, now we're on the same episode." Like, so I felt like there was a full circle of things just lining up for me.
Yeah. Yeah. What was it like? Shakespearean acting, or was it just like the fundamentals, like modern acting? What kind of acting?
So they use a little bit of Stanislavski, a little bit as far as like the preparation, but it was basically just, okay, what can I remember some things from it? Like we worked on accents sometimes. We worked on just, I guess, the fundamentals of it. Just, okay, what is the beat? What is like the basic fundamentals of it? Okay. So after I took that class, I took the follow-up class was advanced acting. And then those were the only two I took during college. And then after that, I was like, okay, summertime, instead of thinking about, oh, it's summertime, I'm like, okay, I really want to get better. So I'm like, let me watch interviews, let me listen to them, see what books they read or what classes, or like Leonardo, he was like, that's how I found Sanford Meisner. He was like, oh, I used to watch Sandy. I'm like, okay, who is Sandy? Let me look up this person. Found the DVD. It's like, oh, I can learn the information from the greats, even though I don't know them. It's like, it was accessible. So I just took that the whole summer, read as much as I could. And it was like, all right, I know where I'm moving after I graduate because this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
And that's how I got to Atlanta, man.
Yeah. What was your degree one more time?
Yeah, mass communications and integrated marketing.
Okay. I mean, so that's perfect for what.
Right.
Some people can't necessarily translate from, you know, what they got their degree in, what they studied for 4 years into their passion or what they want to do. But that's
Yeah.
perfect.
And it's funny because it goes to what you said too. You asked like, did I always know? I didn't know because when I got to college, I was like, I want to do something with TV, but I did not want to be a news anchor. I didn't want to be a weatherman. I'm like, okay, TV, but you know, I don't want to be a journalist, you know, but so it kind of worked out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
Aspen, I'm curious with your
Yeah.
faith-based
Mhm.
life.
Yeah.
You know, of course, I don't know if it's like Christianity,
Yeah.
religious, or more spiritual based in terms of like, you know, you call it the universe, whatever.
Yeah.
How do you find a balance? How do you strike that balance between spirituality and like a more material lifestyle, like
Mhm.
acting?
Man, that's a great question. I love great questions too, man. Well, yes, I am a Christian. Well, I find myself, I believe in Jesus, I follow Jesus, but at the same time, it's like I believe religion, so to speak, is so divisive to a point where we're all in this together. But it's because, oh, you don't see this way, or you don't believe this. That doesn't mean like, okay, we have to be divisive. But at the same time, it's like connectivity. We're all one. So in terms of spirituality, bringing that into like material things, it's kind of hard for me to differentiate that or take that away because when I say every single thing I've been able to do is only because of faith. Like I can share the same story about the Queen Sugar TV show. That was the first network television show I booked, 2017, and then like again I was working at the Apple store. So when I found out, I'm like I told my boss, I told my mom, I told my classmates, a lot of people at the university, and so my agent, he called, he was like, hey, so I'll give you the details, the film dates and everything by Tuesday. So this was that previous Friday. So I'm like, he's like, have a great weekend. So I'm like excited, just like, man, I'm really about to be on TV. And so after that happened, Tuesday passes, Wednesday comes. So I call him like, hey, you didn't give me the film dates yet. So he was like, oh, I forgot to tell you, like they decided to go with like a known name. I was like, oh man, I told my mom, I told my professors, the university made an e-blast. Like when I say like I found out that news, I told my boss. He was like, "Yeah, you heading to class?" I'm like, "Yeah." I went home and cried because I was like, "Yo, like I told everybody. Everybody's expecting like, man, he's gonna be on TV. Like he's about to graduate. Like things are just popping." But when I say I cried, I went home and I was like, I took a nap. And after I took a nap, I was like, you know what? I need to go back to class. So as soon as I pulled out of my apartment, I was like, you know what, God, I know you won't embarrass me. And so after I said that,
That's funny.
literally 2 weeks from the date, he called me. He's like, hey, what's up? I was like, not much. What's going on? Like, I know you haven't sent me something. Like, he was like, well, so the film dates are April 17th. I was like, I thought you said. He's like, hey, it came back to you. I was like,
Hey.
man. So I realized like from that moment, it was a thing where the test of faith, like I didn't decide to be like, man, like I'm mad or I'm pissed or just like I got sad as a human because, natural feelings, you get disappointment sometimes. But I was like, you know what? God, you won't disappoint me. So I felt like that was my test of faith of like, okay, even though you see I can do amazing things, what if I kind of take that away from you? Will you still have faith? Like I didn't know what to do. I was sad, but I was like, all right, I know you won't embarrass me. And then when I got the call, I was like, dang, you really won't embarrass me, like so that happened. And one more similar small instance like that when I booked Marvel's Cloak and Dagger, and so I was watching that show the entire summer of June 2018. I was like, all right, this is a good show. I fit right on the show, and I'm like, if it's renewed for a season two, and there was no season two in talks, I was like, I'm going to be on the show, and so they renewed. It was that October when they started filming. I got the audition. It didn't say Marvel. It was like some code name. It was like Shadows because they can't say like the exact show names when they're in pre-development. So I got the audition. I was like, what is this about? And then I kind of saw the producers. I was like, oh, snap, it's this Cloak and Dagger. And lo
Damn.
and behold, the first audition I ever got for it, I booked it. And it was on the first episode of season two, like the season two premiere. So I'm
Wow.
like, anytime I'm like, okay, I'm using my faith or my focus or my belief to say, hey, I believe this can happen. I don't know how it's going to happen. It's not my job to figure out why, but it's my job to stay consistent of, hey, this is what I believe. And it's in God's timing, So I just have to prepare myself when the time meets me, so to speak.
Dude, two things on that. One,
Yeah.
one thing I love to say often, I remind my roommate all the time, everybody I can is just like,
Yeah.
we have this like circle of influence. I have a drawing on my refrigerator of just like circle of influence, like the things I can control, and then
Yeah.
outside the things I can't. And
Yeah.
I leave the other things to God, universe, whatever we want to call it. And then on the same note, what I appreciate about what you said is something to the effect of like, God has a sense of humor. You know, like, oh, you're funny. I say that often, you know, I'm just like, you're funny, you know, but I think the importance of that is, number one, humility, but also humor and enlightenment, like to lighten up, you know, and to not get angry, to just have some space and let it come to you if that's what it's going to be.
Yeah.
You know,
I truly believe that, man. Like, whatever's meant for us, it cannot pass us. You know, like, okay, if it wasn't meant, I thought I wanted this, but sometimes, you know, it's not always about being optimistic. Oh, greater is coming. But it's like, you know, when you prepare for that, it's like you're going to get exactly what you prepare for. Because it's like, I was telling a friend the other day, I'm like, okay, in terms of, I just got representation out in LA as a really solid team, but that was 4 months of preparation. I'm like, all right, I'm going to get back in class and make sure I take the right headshots. I'm going to make sure I'm working out, like doing everything for that moment. So I'm like, let me eliminate every possibility of being told no. So I'm like, that happened, but I'm like, now things are kind of going slow, of course, because of quarantine and COVID. But it's like, I know when I put the work behind it, like when it comes, it's like, there's no reason to not receive it, so to speak, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It must be coupled. You can't just believe. You can't just put the intention and then just sit back and wait. It has to be coupled with the hard work.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, and I mean, your story is incredible, man. Like you constantly, like when I watch you, you're constantly setting new goals, setting your intention, having faith, and you're doing the hard work, and then you're achieving your goals. And I definitely see, Skylar and I talk about it. We see you as A-list top name actor, like a very, very big actor, and you deserve it. It's on your path, and you have listened to your heart, and you followed that path. You followed the signs, and you've had faith even in those times that are tough. And that's the biggest thing is yeah. I mean, so many people we're all in the same position of just kind of waiting. Some of us are able to work or make ends meet in this time. Some of us are not, and it's just difficult. But for acting, the industry is down. But what I'm hearing from you is you're constantly moving forward and bettering yourself for that time that it's like, all right, time to get going.
Yeah. Man.
So what is as far as acting goes, what is your process been like in maintaining your skill set, your knowledge? I know you've been reading a lot too. Have you been reading acting books as well?
I haven't been reading a lot of acting books, but I have been watching a lot of interviews. As far as I've been, I set a goal this week. I've kind of fell off of it, but I'm like, I watched 2 movies this week, one last night and one the night before. So I've been consistent for the last 2 days. But I wanted to take Jamie Foxx, his filmography, to say like, okay, watch his films to see how he's grown as an artist. Like from Ray Charles to Sleepless to Django, it's just like, you know, he's an actor, award-winning actor, but at the same time, he's a multifaceted artist. Of course, I can't sing. I haven't worked on my voice yet, but just in terms of his versatility as an actor, it's like this guy can play the cop, he can play this. So I'm like, I want to really study him in terms of I'm rewinding like, all right, close-ups and like moments and like kind of trying to think about the thoughts he's thinking about when he delivered a certain line. So it's just like, it's using the TV for it. Cause I mean, like using the TV as my study guide, so to speak.
Yeah.
But aside from that, just listen to, affirmations and stuff like that too, just to keep fresh too.
Yeah. Do you have either a morning routine or a routine of sorts that you use to maintain your faith and your spirituality?
I try to make it a goal every day to first thing I wake up, of course, either if that's vocal or just through my mind, just like, hey, thank you God for this day. This is a day that you made. Like, let me get the best out of it. Try to wake up, drink some water, and then just get the day started. That's really it, bro.
Yeah. Oh, gratitude. Yeah. And then from there, you set a clean slate, and you can get working.
Yeah, that's it, man.
Yeah. Awesome, man. Well, I know I got another question for you.
Yeah, me too. It's like, it's in my head right now, and I'm like,
yeah. Well, at the very least, how can people, so what are you working on, or what did you work on right before this? Is there something that's coming out?
Yeah, it's called Ruthless. It's on BET Plus, Tyler Perry show. Comes on every Thursday. My first episode aired on, 2 weeks ago. So my next episode is 12, 13, 19, and 21. But I think they're on episode 10 right now. It came on last night. But that's coming on BET Plus every Thursday night. So I know he's been in talks of opening Tyler Perry Studios back in July and starting some productions for his show The Oval and Sisters. So I feel like probably Ruthless, God willing, if we renew for a second season,
Yeah.
it will start back like this fall, like probably when all this kind of lifts up a little bit more. So like September, October, but that's coming on TV right now.
Yeah, man. Hopefully. Well, yeah. What network is BET on, or who are they owned by?
BT Plus, they're owned by Viacom.
Viacom.
So like VH1, BET,
Okay.
what other ones? Nickelodeon, those two.
Okay. I think we have that. Oh, we gotta watch it.
Right, yeah, definitely gotta check it out, bro.
Yeah, Aspen Kennedy is an incredible actor. I've had the opportunity of helping you with the self tape, and I was like, okay, because
Right.
when you help certain friends that are actors, and you're like,
Yeah.
they're all right. They got some work to do, and
Yeah.
even I've been there, and I'm like, damn, that was really bad. They probably think I was a shitty actor, but no, it's you. It seems like you've really worked hard, and it's paying off, man. You got a big future ahead of you.
Thank you, man.
You and Skylar.
Hey, yeah, she's killing it. Hey, I'm happy for both of you guys too, man. But I was just about to say, you said something that made me think about this. What did you just say? What was it? It's like the thought was just right there. It'll come back to me. It'll come back. Oh yeah, that was it. It was something in terms of like, you was like, man, you got a bright future. Like, I really appreciate that, man. But at the same time, I constantly challenge myself to say, okay, God, like once this comes, I want to be successful. I want to be, I want things to flow. But at the same time, I know it's about what I do with it when I get it. Because it's, a lot of people just, I want to be successful. I want to have stability. I want to have this family. I want to have this legacy. But it's like, okay, I know I've changed my prayers recently. I'm like, all right, God, like I know I ask a lot. I know I expect great things, but at the same time, I just turned 25 in January, but I'm like, out of 25 years of living, I've never consciously asked, hey, God, is there anything I can do for you today? So I'm like, sometimes I feel like that's the only thing he may need from us, just to say like,
wow.
Okay. And yeah, seriously, because it's like, hey, God, I believe these things, we pray these things, we manifest, but he's like, okay, now that I see your heart is considerate of me too, that's all sometimes I need to know. Or sometimes he may ask us to do something. But I'm like, okay, if you allow me to do this, and I know, Liam, I don't know if we talked about this, but the story of Solomon, when he was trying to prepare this temple, it was a thing where he was like, hey, God was like, ask what you shall of me, and hey, whatever. And because he did not ask for material things, wealth, or the biggest things to decorate the place, he was like, I just need wisdom to guide the people. He was like, because you ask for wisdom, not only will I give you wisdom, but I'll also give you all these things. So it's like, okay, because I genuinely do have a heart to say, hey, if and God willing, you continue to bless me, it's the thing where I want to help people. I want to, I don't know how to do it, but again, it's not up to me to figure out why and the how, but I want to help people in terms of back to school stuff or helping the homeless, and not just saying it for like publicity, but I truly love the feeling I get when I help people. So it's like, okay, God, in exchange for that, you can trust me as well to say, hey, I want to be fruitful, but I want to be giving at the same time. It's not going to be all about Aspen, Aspen, Aspen. It's like, no, Aspen, as a contribution, I'm a vessel to help and inspire other people too. Because I don't want it to be all about me, because life is not all about us. We need people, So I just want to kind of spark that off to help people too. So,
dude, that's the perfect, because this morning I wake up and, I was feeling kind of like groggy, but as it got closer to knowing that we're going to hop on this call, I told Liam right before the call, like I felt like a spark, Yeah. Wow. And I think that has a lot to do with what I did last night, not watching Netflix till 2 a.m. and what I did this morning to prepare myself. And you being the being that you are, me not even knowing who you are, perhaps like lit something for me. And so that leads me to perhaps the final question. What, as we are Why on Earth, we like to ask the question, just like, why are we doing the things that we're doing? And perhaps try to share that with someone else. So what is a message you might like to if you could give, you know, people some words of wisdom, what would that be?
I'm open right now. I just feel like, hey, God is the greatest thing. I feel like a lot of people, well, in terms of us, sometimes even me, I have to check myself in terms of like, okay, I know God is great. He created this world. He created like, you know, like I tell people, this is a small thing. Like a lot of people is like, okay, how can we believe? And that's okay. But at the same time, it's like, I know that if Warren Buffett offered me like, okay, I'll give you $1 trillion if you can tell me how you're keeping your heart beating. It's like nobody can say that. We have science, we have, you know, biological things, but it's like breath. Like nobody can say, all right, if I do this, I can keep my breath going all day. So it's like if you know, like we're connected to a bigger source of like love, joy, goodness, patience, kindness, all the things we generally want as humans. We want a good life. We want happiness. We want these things. But if you look at the traits of a God, those are good things. So it's like, you know, if we truly trust, like, okay, we have access to that. We're creating in his likeness. Therefore, I believe that's why we have the power to manifest some things, because he created the world from his mouth. He's like, he called light to be. So it's like, if we believe in our power, we're more conscious of the words that we say and how we speak over our lives. If we speak over our friends' lives, it's like we can really tune into having a greater path in front of us. So it's like faith is everything, because, you know, I forgot, I think it's Henry Ford. He was like, the man who says he can't or cannot, he's both right. So it's like if we know and put the belief behind what we say until it becomes a habit, it's like life will be exactly how it should be, how we think it should be, you know, in terms of co-creation. I believe life works that way. So just keep the faith, try to stay positive as much as possible, and just to know we always have guidance, even if we don't always see it or feel it in the moment, but we always do.
Yeah, what I'm hearing is not just faith and signs, you know, signs like from the Bible where it says, you know, me and Liam talked about this like so often, and it still is like a topic of conversation. It's like he spoke, let there be light. And to us, that meant magic. To us, that meant you make something, you know, so.
Our creator calls us to create.
Exactly.
Yes. And it was another book I read, I've been reading it too. It's called The Artist's Way, but it's saying like, you know, creativity is like the spiritual path to, you know, that's his likeness. God creates, and so do we. We have artists, we have developers, you have technical people, but at the same time, the ability to create whatever it is, that's the vastness of bringing everything together. Like, what is an engineer without a musician? Like, so everything you need piece to piece, but it's because what we can create and come together to make it the creation, so to speak. So, yeah, man.
Awesome.
You're a wealth of wisdom.
Thank you, bro. You too. Both of you guys.
Thank you. Well, yeah, man, it was so awesome having you on this podcast, and once again, so people can see what you're up to and what you're doing. What's the best way to get in contact with you or see what you're doing? Is it Instagram?
Yeah, Instagram at Aspen Kennedy, ASPENKENNEDY.
Cool. And we'll throw that in the comment section below just so people can see that as well.
Oh yeah.
Instagram handle is Why on Earth Podcast.
Okay, sweet.
All right. To our viewers, our listeners, we want to thank you for joining us on this podcast with Aspen Kennedy, an inspiration, a beacon. I love to hand people that, you know, that label and just hope. Yeah, I see that you embody that, and so continue doing that. As Liam said, we can see you being one of those A-listers who really just affects people in a positive light. So
thank you.
Check out his show on BET Plus. What is it called?
Ruthless.
Every Thursday night. But Aspen, thank you, brother. Thank you for your presence, all of that, and yeah, see you in the future.
Yeah, we definitely will, man. And blessings to you guys on this. Like, it's gonna be bigger than it. I mean, it doesn't have to be, but it's just like the nature of it is just like this is what people need, you know. So it's like, why on earth would it not be bigger? So, you know?
Absolutely. Thank you, man. I appreciate you.
All right, bro.
All right, peace.
All right, man. Adios. Thank you guys for watching Why on Earth.
Sweet.